And welcome back. So today we're doing our Season 1 update for the Bloody Baron build. Uh, I'm pretty excited. This build it was really good in the preseason and it seems to have only gotten buffed. So whereas all of the other builds have taken massive nerfs with the crit damage nerfs and the vulnerable nerfs I think there was, I don't think there was any nerfs to overpower. So we're doing better than ever. We have received quite a few buffs in our abilities, and overall, this build feels way better than it did in the preseason. Now, you will notice we have minions this time around because this build has evolved. I did finish the preseason build for the updated Bloody Baron build. In that case, I found an amulet that makes it to where when you cast Blood Surge, all of your minions also cast Blood Surge. So I decided this time around, even though we don't have that amulet yet, obviously, we are going to get used to running with minions. And on top of that, this has a ton of AoE, but the minions do help with our single target damage. Because our damage falls off a little bit when we're attacking one enemy. So, to look at some of our stats before we get into the build, you can see we have a whopping 579.1% overpower damage. Our critical strike damage is pretty damn low, but, I'll take the extra damage. And then our vulnerable damage is sitting right at 20%. So, definitely with this build, you want to be pumping up overpower as much as you can because these other two have been nerfed. So we're going to jump into our equipment, and then we'll go over our abilities, and then the Paragon board, and of course the Book of Our Dead. So to go into what has changed with the hearts, I don't have it, but you definitely want the heart. I think it's a Wrathful Heart that makes it to where whenever you're close to a corpse, it'll automatically cast a corpse ability. That is, so far, to level 50, probably the best one. So you'll definitely want that. In this, I just have the 2000 fire damage surrounding enemies. When a crowd control effect is removed from you, it's nice, but it's not super effective. So the main reason I have the Wrathful Heart in here is because we get a shitload of armor. More so than if you put a Skull Gem into it. Now for the aspect in here, we have Blood Surge Nova Echoes again after a short delay, dealing 40% less damage. I have that in my amulet. We are running one-handed and a shield, so we'll get the biggest bonus from having that in our amulet. It gains 50% power. Down here we have deal 25% increased damage while you have a barrier active. We have other ways to form barriers, so it's nice to be stacking another damage. And then resource draining effects are 51% less effective. In addition, gain 7.5 increased resource generation. I don't even care about the resource draining effects part. That's super nice, but the resource generation is really nice. So we're taking that. And then right here, probably one of the single most important imprints you can have for any build with Necromancer, as far as I'm concerned, is the gain essence or gain primary resource for every 25% of your life that you heal. Being that this is a blood build, we have a ton of ways of healing ourselves. So this will proc all the time. Honestly, even if I'm losing just a tiny bit of health, I'll pop a potion just to get our essence back. And then the Brutal Heart we have, this one is huge and it's absolutely, in my opinion, overpowered. When at least two enemies are near you, gain an aura that automatically curses surrounding enemies with Decrepify for 11 seconds. You can get higher seconds, but it's not necessary. As you'll notice, there's no cooldown for this, so it will be up the entire time you're around enemies. This will be up. Now to move down here, we do have a shield. I really wanted this to be a tanky as fuck build. Oh, I forgot to mention some of our passives. We have 6.6 damage. just flat out percent damage isn't a bad option. I would love to have, instead of like the ultimate skill damage, I would put overpower bonus percent on amulet and both rings. I do have it on this ring. We have a whopping 28.5% overpower damage. If you could get that on your other ring and your amulet, absolutely focus on that. Down here we have like lucky hit chance, damage to distant enemies, that one's pretty nice. And then damage to crowd controlled enemies. We have a good way to crowd control everything, so I guess that's fine. But like I said, your primary, what you want is overpower damage. Down here we have blood orb healing. We have ways to form blood orbs, so that's just kind of nice. More healing for us, yay. Crowd control duration's pretty nice, and then maximum minion life. That one is going to come into effect a lot more than you think it will. So, we do have injured while crowd controlled grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. We don't take any abilities that gave us unstoppable, so having this is super nice. There's not very many occasions where we'll become injured, but in those cases, it's very good to be able to get out of it. Over here, we have sacrifice bonuses are increased by 15%. We have a ruby in this for the extra overpower damage. And on top of that, we have almost a 50% overpower damage just innately in this weapon. The damage over time I would switch out, and then the ultimate skill damage is not super needed. But we do have a big old fat 30% damage to close enemies, which is nice. Up here we take damaging an elite, grants you a barrier. That mostly I just paired to get that 25% damage bonus. We do have skull gems in all of our armor pieces, including our shield, just for the healing received to proc our resource generation more efficiently. And then we have 2 ranks into Bone Prison. I don't use Bone Prison, so you could definitely swap that out. I would have already, I just don't have the materials. We do have the 16% minion life, which is very nice for the skirmishers. The 3 potion capacity, I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. We're tanky as fuck, so we don't really use potions ever. Until I started using this ring. And now I use potions all the time for the resource generation. So having that extra potion capacity is fucking nice. Up here we take Bone Storm is now a darkness skill. And it gives us a bunch of damage on top of it, so I just thought that would be pretty nice to have. If I could fit it, I would love to, acquire some of the darkness passives, but we're spread a little bit thin as it is. Up here we have basic skills grant 20% damage reduction. Honestly, I would prefer to have attack speed, but this is nice. It gives us a little bit more tankiness. And then we have the 16% blood skill damage. That's super nice. I think that factors in before the overpower, so that just makes our overpower that much more heavy of a damage. We have damage reduction while fortified. We're fortified all the time, so we're getting that damage reduction all the time, and then the 2.2% armor. Yeah, we are very, very, very tanky. In fact, I just sat there's a clip, maybe I'll play it right now, where I was fighting the butcher and was just sitting there face tanking him. Like, he just couldn't do much to us. Now, right here, we have increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 18%. You can get much higher percentages, but it's not necessary this early in the game. Whenever we get into the 70, 80 updated build, that's whenever we're going to definitely having to start stacking tankiness. As far as the passives go, we do not need the lucky hint chance, but I guess it's nice. The crowd control duration's nice. Shadow resistance, I mean, I guess. Cooldown reduction, of course, is nice too. So to talk about our minions, we went with skirmishers. They deal 30% more damage, but they have 50% reduced life. So that's why we stacked 2 forms of minion life. And on top of that, we can summon one more additional skirmisher. That will come into play much more later on in the level 70 build whenever we get that amulet, making it to where all of our minions also cast the Blood Surge. That's when having as many minions as possible is going to be huge. Now later on, I haven't got to test it yet because I haven't got there with this character yet, but if these guys are dying too fast, or they're just, you can't keep them alive, then just switch to, the defenders. Having one less minion is not a huge deal, it's not the end of the world, but these guys are way tankier, so you might want to switch to them. For right now, we sacrifice our mages so we can have extra overpower. At least in the early stages, that 40% is huge. Later on, when we're getting to max level, may not be that big a deal. We may have thousands of overpower percent at that point. So for right now, though, we're sacrificing them. And then for our golem, we have the blood golem with, while healthy, he deals and takes more and less damage. If you feel that you're not tanky enough for whatever reason, like you're trying to tackle nightmare dungeons that are 10, 15 levels higher than you, take your blood golem absorbs 15% of your damage. I mean, that would make you way tankier. You could even consider sacrificing him, but honestly, I kind of like having him around, plus his ability's pretty nice, so all in all, that's all that. Now, to go into our abilities and why, we do go Hemorrhage all the way to Initiate's Hemorrhage. You kind of burst an enemy's blood. It says you deal a little bit of damage, and then it says Hemorrhage has a 20% chance to form a blood orb. That's another big thing, is it also gives us a good way to heal, which, this being a tank, we don't need that much healing, but there is an aspect that we could use later on that makes it to where for every percent that you heal past maximum health will give you a damage bonus on your next overpower. So having those blood orbs are super nice. It says after picking up a blood orb, your next hemorrhage also deals damage to enemies around your target and give you 2 additional essence per enemy hit. So it's not only a great AoE, and it gives us Fortify and it gives us blood orbs, but now it gives us a bunch more essence. So that's why I really love this ability. It just does so much for you. Right here, we take Unliving Essence to get to Imperfectly Balanced. Unfortunately, this got a big fucking nerf. You used to put 3 points into it to get 15% increased damage, and now you can only put 1. We do take Blood Surge all the way over here to Paranormal Blood Surge. Paranormal Blood Surge will make it to where every 5th Blood Surge will overpower. So it's super duper nice. Enhanced Blood Surge makes it to where you're healing off of enemies up to 6% of your life for every time you cast Blood Surge. How the ability works is you suck blood from all enemies, dealing damage, and then you blow up, dealing even more damage, and then you get damage bonuses based on how many enemies were around. Take Skeletal Warrior Mastery for life and tankiness of our minions. Right here we take Death's Embrace and Death's Reach, mostly for the damage to close and far enemies. Death's Embrace does give us a little bit of tankiness towards close enemies, but, we do take Amplified Damage, 12% increased damage to cursed enemies. We also take Decrepify all the way over here to get Abhorrent Crepify for the cooldown reduction. And we don't even have Decrepify on our bar. We are using that based off of this Brutal Heart right here. So that's one of the things, man. We are way stronger and we can use way more abilities even though we only have 6 slots. So down here we take 2 points into Gruesome Mending, just for those oh shit moments where we get really low and need to heal. We get 20% more healing. Coalesced Blood, while healthy, you deal 18% increased damage with blood skills. Tides of Blood, you get 15% increased overpowered damage. While you're healthy, though, you get 30%. So just really nice. I didn't mean to do that. Really nice damage bonuses. Drain Vitality will grant you Fortify for using blood skills or hitting enemies with blood skills. Just another way to boost our tankiness. And we pair that with Necrotic Carapace, so we just have Fortify all the time. It's ridiculous. We take Corpse Tendrils all the way to Plagued Corpse Tendrils. This will pull enemies, slow enemies, stun enemies, and then make all enemies vulnerable. So this is definitely one of the best abilities in the game, in my opinion. Down here we take Golem Mastery, gaining life and damage for our Golem up to 75%. Inspiring Leader we take mostly to get to Hellbent Commander, gaining 30% minion damage while you're close to them, which we are all the time. Death's Defense, your minions can't lose more than 30% of their maximum life from a single damage instance. That's huge. You don't want to just walk into a boss fight and all your minions just get rock and rolled instantly. So this passive is huge. Right here we do take Bone Storm this time around. We take it mostly to get over here to Supreme Bone Storm. This will give us crit chance by a huge percent too. Now another nice bonus with this is you gain 15% damage reduction while it's active. Down here we do take Rathma's Vigor. This is my favorite passive. I mean, obviously if you're running a blood build, you'll want Rathma's Vigor. It increases your maximum life by 10%, and then after being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. We're healthy all the time. We have so much healing that we're going to get that overpower. Every 12 seconds we're overpowering. That's our whole skill tree. That's all our gear. Let's jump into our Paragon board. Now, to talk about our glyph socket real fast, you're definitely going to want Dominate for this this build. For every 5 willpower, you gain 8.3% increased overpowered damage. Well, as you can see here, we only have 2 willpower nodes unlocked right now. There's none others in this area, but we are still getting almost a 30% overpower damage bonus. Now, if you don't have that, you can take Overwhelm. It's basically the same node, just on a smaller scale. You can see here it's 2.7% as opposed to the 8.3%. But it is a nice placeholder. So to talk about our nodes that we went Prime for the extra damage and maximum life, the Knowledge for extra damage and intelligence, and then over here, whenever we get to that updated build, we will take Preservation for the armor and intelligence. We do take our board that we go to is Bloodbath. It's the overpower board, obviously, that's what you're going to want. But I did want to mention, you're going to want to rotate this board, because this is the passive that you want on this board the most. It's Powerhouse. You deal 25% increased damage while you're healthy, and gain another 30% overpowered damage. And then another 12% or 12.5% damage while healthy if requirements are met. So that's why we're at that 25% damage bonus while healthy. If you don't rotate the board, this will be all the way up here, and you'll have to go all the way across the board to get to it. So definitely just focus on rotating the board. You will want to take these two. This is another 30% after you have both of them to our overpower. We do come up here for Guarded Advance for the 20% damage while fortified, and the Fortified Generation. And then later on we will take these Fortified Generations whenever we're a little bit higher. We are working down here to Bloodbath. Attacks that are guaranteed to overpower deal 50% increased overpower damage. Well, we have one every 12 seconds and one every 5th Blood Surge. So this is just a massive fucking damage bonus. I can't even explain to you. So you'll definitely want to get there. After that, if you're curious, we are going to work down to this right here, and we're going to be running into Cult Leader. This will be boosting our minions' damage and our minions' survivability. So, with all of that stuff out of the way, good lord, that was such a mouthful. We're going to take Glorious Hood, Runic Mail, Warlord gauntlets, Sandworn breeches, and Warlord boots, and it's all with the red dye. As for our shield, we take the basic shield and twin blade. And all in all, I think it really pulls together. It definitely looks like a Baron that would steal your blood and fuck you up with it. So that's what we went with. That's what we're doing. Now, this is the end. I did want to mention real quick, if you were curious about a different way to do it, if you wanted to do this build without the minions, I would run a two-handed weapon so you could have 2 overpowered gems in it, but mostly imprint it with your sacrifice bonuses are increased by 30%. As you can see here, I have that on a one-handed weapon. You'll get a 100% bonus for having it on a two-handed, so that will just get you the most out of sacrificing everything. And then of course, if you were going to sacrifice your minions and everything, switch out the passives that give your minions stuff, put them into Momentum Mori and Standalone, and then pick up Blood Mist. So, and then you could put Decrepify on your bar, or you could put this on your bar and pair it with that heart that gives you, or will automatically cast blood skills. So, all in all, I think it looks really cool. It's really fun to play. It does a shitload of damage, and it just keeps getting buffs. So there's never been a better time to convert from the Bone Spear. If you're playing Bone Spear and you want to do something different, the Blood build is getting up there, man. This thing is, in my opinion, it doesn't do quite as much damage, but goddamn is it way more satisfying. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like and please subscribe. Otherwise, have yourself a very fine day.